We've all been there. Driving late at night, the world reduced to the glow of your headlights cutting through the darkness. The familiar comfort of the road, the steady rhythm of miles slipping away. But what if that comfort turns to dread? What if the road you know suddenly twists into something else? Something impossible. Tonight, we follow a journey that takes a terrifying detour, leaving behind logic and sanity on a stretch of asphalt that simply shouldn't exist. Our story begins with Michael, a long-haul truck driver who knew the highways like the back of his hand. He'd driven every major route across the country countless times. Late nights and early mornings were his normal. He was reliable, efficient, and never got lost. His rig was his second home, the open road his constant companion. One particularly dark night, Michael was on a routine run, heading south on I-80 through rural Nebraska. The moon was obscured by clouds, and the stars were swallowed by an oppressive, inky blackness. He'd been driving for hours, the familiar landscape a blur of fields and distant farm lights. He felt the onset of the usual late-night fatigue, a gentle tug at his eyelids. He decided to pull off at the next rest stop, just for a quick coffee. He saw the sign, "Rest area, 1 mile," standard green, white lettering. He signaled, eased into the exit lane, and slowed his rig. The exit ramp curved gently, as they always do, leading down into what should have been a well-lit parking lot. But it wasn't. Instead of the glow of streetlights and parked cars, his headlights cut through a wall of dense fog. Not just a patchy mist, but a thick, swirling vapor that devoured the light, reducing visibility to mere feet. Michael slowed to a crawl, squinting. This was highly unusual. There had been no fog on the highway. He continued down the ramp, inching forward. The pavement beneath his tires felt different. Rougher, older, the usual rumble strips were absent. He strained to see the rest stop buildings, the outline of other vehicles. Nothing, just the endless, suffocating white. He rolled down his window, listening. No distant chatter, no hum of vending machines, no other trucks idling, just an unnatural, profound silence, broken only by the low rumble of his own engine and the drip of condensation from the fog. A prickle of unease started in his gut. This wasn't right. He checked his GPS. It showed him still on I-80, as if he hadn't exited at all. He glanced at his dashboard clock. It seemed to be frozen. He decided to turn around. He began to look for a place to make a U-turn, or at least a wider shoulder, but the ramp kept going. It stretched out, seemingly endlessly, deeper into the fog. The road itself narrowed, the asphalt cracking and crumbling at the edges. Trees, gnarled and skeletal, began to appear, pressing in close, their branches dripping with moisture, creating menacing, shifting shapes in the limited visibility. Michael's heart began to pound. He hit the brakes, coming to a complete stop. He was alone, completely disoriented, on a road that felt ancient, forgotten, and utterly wrong. He opened his door, just for a second, needing to ground himself in reality. The air that rushed in was cold, damp, and carried a faint, cloying smell, like wet earth and something metallic, something old. He slammed the door shut. He tried to reverse. The tires spun on the rough surface, gaining no traction. He tried to move forward again. The rig lurched, the engine straining, but it wouldn't go. He was stuck. Or perhaps something was holding him. Then, from the impenetrable fog ahead, he heard it. A faint, rhythmic tapping. Tap, tap. It sounded like something hard hitting asphalt. It was slow, deliberate, and it was getting closer. He grabbed his flashlight, aiming it into the swirling white. The tapping grew louder, closer. He could hear a shuffling sound now, too, a soft drag. like something being pulled. His breath hitched in his throat. Suddenly, a shape materialized in his headlights. Tall, impossibly thin, silhouetted against the dense fog. It wasn't walking. It seemed to glide, and as it drew closer, he could make out details. A figure, impossibly slender, with limbs that seemed too long, too jointed, and where its head should have been, there was only a dark, featureless void, absorbing the light. The tapping sound was clearer now. It was coming from its hand, which held a long, thin stick, scraping it along the road surface as it moved. The shuffling sound was its feet, or what passed for them, dragging. It stopped at the very edge of his headlights, just beyond the reach of the beam. It didn't move, didn't make another sound. It just stood there, a terrifying silhouette, watching him from within the endless fog. Michael felt a cold, paralyzing terror seize him. He couldn't scream, couldn't move. He could only stare into that featureless void, feeling an ancient, malevolent presence bearing down on him after what felt like an eternity, but was probably only a minute. The figure slowly, deliberately turned. Its back was still impossibly thin, and it began to glide away, back into the fog, the tapping sound growing fainter, until it vanished entirely. Michael sat there, gasping, shaking uncontrollably, until the first rays of dawn began to pierce the fog, burning it away like a bad dream. As the light strengthened, the gnarled trees vanished, replaced by the familiar fields of Nebraska. The crumbling asphalt became the smooth, clean concrete of an I-80 rest stop parking lot. His GPS was working again. His clock was ticking. Other trucks were parked nearby. He checked the sign. Rest area? The same green and white. He got out, his legs weak, and looked at the exit ramp. It was perfectly normal, leading directly to the rest stop. There was no fog, no ancient road, no skeletal trees. Michael still drives trucks, but he never takes that exit on I-80. He can't. He knows what he saw, what he felt, and sometimes, late at night, when the road is dark and the miles stretch endlessly before him, he swears he can still hear it. That faint, rhythmic tap, tap,